and open up the floor.
Hey, assalamu alaikum.
I knew it. Yes, sir. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, brother, I hope that's a good thing. No, assalamu alaikum, everybody. I pray everybody is well. Praise be to Allah. I just wanted to share one thing as it relates to well, actually two quick things. One is when sister talked about the tornado watch. We had a very strange occurrence that happened in the state of Alabama dealing with pestilence. We had a swarm of termites that literally swept through the city. My wife and my family, we're in the house. We just get through eating dinner. Well, no, right before dinner. I'm looking at all my windows. They're full of termites. Like literally full of termites. Like, I'm like, man, what the hell is this? Now termites, look, they coming. I don't even know how they got in they was like coming through the light fixtures in my children's room and coming through my ceiling. Well, you have a the little heat thing on top of the roof. They were coming in from everywhere, all on the kitchen floor, everywhere. Not just my house, but one of my brothers said he was outside in his car about 20 miles away. They covered his car completely and was getting inside of his car. So wow. It was all outside, like pestilence. And then after about an hour, they all died and just went away, and we cleaned them all up. 3 days later, they came back again, covering the city, not the city, but the block. He said in his area, and they were just coming from their hiding places. And they're not the termites that eat wood. They're the termites that breed other termites. They're two different types. I didn't know. But my point is, when the messenger said in the fall of America, talked about pestilence and different animals and insects coming out fighting mad from their hiding spots. They said they were depleted of water, so they were looking for water sources. And they came by the millions. It was just everywhere. It was insane. And my wife had to flee out because me and my other sons were out doing some work. She called me, but I had to leave the house. The termites came back. It was crazy, man, like a movie. But I thank Allah we got it done. That's one. The second thing, I went to the org and was blessed to get a Dianetics training program. And if it's okay with you, brother, at that time that you suggest, I'd like to share it.
No, go ahead, brother. Go ahead and share it.
Well, basically what I would say, first of all, because I'm in the middle of a delivery of my business, got to get it in. I would just suggest, I'll share it with you and you can put it up, I guess, on the screen. But it basically was just clearing basic words, engram, returning, and then looking at disc 2 of how to use Dianetics. It shows Dianetics procedures, like how to deal with bouncers, how to deal with misdirectors, the repeater techniques. And it shows different techniques. And I must be honest, I never watched this 2 before. I watched this 1 in delivering seminars. I've delivered hundreds. But I never watched this 2. And when I went to the org, and I paid $80 for a cramming program that they specifically designed. But I'm telling you, just going over that at the org for about 4 or 5 hours, it literally helped me tremendously. Just to go back to the beginning, go over it again, and pick up whatever additional data that you can contact. I found several weaknesses in my auditing skill in my tool bag that I did not use, that I forgot because I wasn't necessarily, I hadn't gone over the material in depth. I hit some points, but it's always good to go all the way and just refresh yourself through the whole process. But I know that increased my ability tenfold, I would bet, in my ability to get those engrams. So I just wanted to share that. And inshallah, once I get a moment before the call, I'll shoot that to you and you can
Okay.
Share with everybody.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Yes, sir. Thank you, Brother Robin.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Let's see. Sister Zakia, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
How are you?
I'm fine, sir.
And we have Sister Shikana. Am I pronouncing that right? Sister Shikana?
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum, family.
Walaikum salam. All right. For those that came in a little bit later, usually what we do at the very beginning, we open up the floor for any questions, any comments, any thoughts. So if there's anything you'd like to share, anything you'd like to ask, now is the time to do it. But even after we begin, you can always stop us where we are and pose whatever questions or comments. So does anyone have any questions at this time before we get started? All right. Let's see, we got 704 that just came in. And who is 704?
Sister Habiba.
Oh, Sister Habiba. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, sir. How are you, sir?
Doing wonderful in yourself? Okay.
By the grace and mercy of Allah, we're doing fine. Thank you for asking.
Praise be to Allah. All right. Let us get started. What are we doing today? Here comes Sister Denise. Okay. Okay, that's in place.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Sister Denise, how are you?
I'm fine, by Allah's grace. How are you, Brother Lukman?
I'm grateful and thankful.
I am.
Right.
I had my other son to get married finally, so I'm done.
When's the
Well,
big
they got married July the 8th.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So they so excited and happy, and I had for a little old school in that. The old school song.
Mm-hmm.
You and Me. From back in the day. My son say, I don't remember that song. I say, you just got here in 1980. Of course, you're not going to remember.
Yeah,
You
right.
weren't here yet. Yes, sir. So, everybody's good. I got a chance to watch the tape. I remember when he said that.
Watch the tape.
The video.
Oh, the minister.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so actually, thank you for mentioning that. Has everyone seen the video of the minister when he spoke about Dianetics in Los Angeles? It's about a 9-minute clip.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Everyone seen it?
Sent it as a link.
Yes, sir.
I didn't get a chance to rewatch it. I'm sure I've seen it. If we have a chance, can you play it? A little bit of it?
Yeah, he sent it as a link.
Okay. Do the believers want to watch it again, or Sister Angela, you're a scientist in this already. You came straight from the mothership. You don't even need it anymore. Stop it. Well, here's the premise, family. Here's the premise. In Dianetics, there's 4 valid therapies. There's the Dianetic processing. There's education. There is change of environment, and then there's control of mess. God willing, tonight, what I would like to do is find a way to connect the self-improvement study program with the Dianetic tech. So as we study our study guides, we can kind of study them on multiple levels. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Sure.
Let me do one thing first before we get started. I gotta do this. Okay. So tonight, what I would like to do is go into study guide number 1, mixed feeling and controversy. But we're gonna handle it from the perspective of the tech. A little while ago, I started going through study guide number 1 and then going through the reading material for mixed feeling and controversy and doing the word clearing on the Arabic. And what I saw was, by Allah's grace, there's some areas where we can find ARC between the study guides, the Holy Quran, and the Dianetics. So again, it gives us the ability to bring the tech back home in the language that we understand. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, for those whose pens can't move fast enough to take notes, as soon as we finish tonight, I'm going to, it usually takes about anywhere from like 10 to 15 minutes for the video to download. And I'm going to post this on the YouTube channel so you can get into it if there's anything that you miss. Okay. Okay, it's just the Sultana. And to those that are new to the group, one of the reasons why I do the PowerPoint is to keep my mind focused so that if anyone at any time has any questions about anything that we're covering, please stop me and ask your question. I do not mind the questions, okay? So pose 2 questions. Is it possible that we can use Dianetics as a tool to go deeper into the self-improvement study guides to gain another level of understanding of self-examination, self-analysis, self-correction? And then coming from the other direction, is it possible that we can use our study guides and the Holy Quran to gain a better understanding of the science of the mind? Does everyone follow those two directions?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We're gonna link everything together so that as we're studying one thing, we're actually studying on multiple levels. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is what Brother Batim would call the fundamentals. One thing, but there's many different layers. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We can throw in some Bible if we have to, if we have family members or friends, or if we have relatives that have no understanding of Dianetics or Islam, we can find the same concepts in the Bible and do as the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, that when you give a baby a bottle, you put some Islam in it. To get the message over to our friends and family who are not in the teachings or not in the Dianetics, but they're more than likely involved in the church, we can give them the gospel, but put some Dianetics in it. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the learning objectives, what we're going to cover tonight. And Sister Angela, if you could do me a favor, please.
Yes, sir.
Could you put in the link for the Closing the Gap for tonight? So that
Yes.
I'm going to try to get this locked down between 7:45 and 8.
Well, nothing was sent out yet, so I'll do it, but I'm just gonna let you know that.
That way, individuals that would like to go to the other Zoom meeting as well, and plus I want to get away from doing Zoom classes that go 2.5 and 3 hours, because I don't want to try your patience. And that will help promote the other Zoom meetings as well.
Yes, sir.
We're going to look at, and here's where the concept came from. In Dianetics, they have something called bull baiting. And I was looking at the concept of bull baiting from the perspective of the study guides. Meaning, if we understand what bull baiting is, but we're going to get into detail what it is. Well, when you look at study guide number 1, and you look at the reading material, it's from Surah 7, ayat 59 to ayat 141, and it covers the different prophets and the people to whom they were sent with the message, correct?
Yeah.
We had Noah, we had Hud, we had Salih, Shuaib, Lot, Moses. The stories are pretty much the same on one level, meaning a prophet or messenger is sent. There's a chief of the people who basically is going against the prophet or the messenger. And then of the people, you have one group of people that are believers, and then you have some that really don't believe as much. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
The things that vary in those different stories is the different outcomes. Okay, the different outcomes are different. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at these stories from the perspective of not looking externally, but look at these stories as demo kits representing what's taking place in our own mind. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So we're going to examine the lives of each of the prophets. We're not going to go through all of them tonight, though. We might only cover a couple of them. And then we're going to look at the characters in each story as demo kits. So we have a chief in our mind. We have a messenger in our mind. And then it describes the benefit of those that follow the messenger. And it describes those that didn't listen to the messenger. What was the outcome? And we're going to connect that all to ourselves. Okay. So what was the result of those that listened to the prophet, the messenger? We're going to apply that to our own mind. And then we're going to look at the result of those that didn't listen. And they didn't listen to the prophet. They listened to the chief. That applied to the mind. So does all of that make sense as to how we're going to go after this concept tonight?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We're gonna personalize it. I can't remember where I read it, but it was, I believe, something that the minister said, and I just have to find out where I saw this. It was either that or a Message to the Black Man, but it was stated that the history or the lives of the prophets are examples. They contain lessons that we can use in the modern time. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Sir? Thanks.
Now, what is bull baiting? Bull baiting is a concept used in Dianetics, and it was first brought to my attention. I think it was Brother Robin had mentioned it probably about a week or so ago during Ramadan. So I did some reading on bull baiting, and it's a tool that's used in doing drills. So by definition, it says in coaching certain drills, the coach attempts to find certain actions, words, phrases, mannerisms, or subjects that cause the student doing the drill to become distracted from the drill by reacting to the coach. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Brother
Now,
Lukman, can
yes.
you explain that? Can you go slower on that? I just want to make sure I got it.
Sure. It's called bull baiting, and it says by definition, then I'll explain. It says in coaching certain drills, the coach attempts to find certain actions, words, phrases, mannerisms, or subjects that cause the student doing the drill to become distracted from the drill by reacting to the coach. Okay, so now, for example, let's use an example. Let's say you've done all the studying, and now you're being tested to see if you can attest to the state of clear. Okay.
Okay.
And then while you're going through these final drills, the coach that's producing the drill says something really out of the way to you, calls you out of your name. How do you react? Okay.
Gotcha. I got it. Thank you.
So basically, if we react to certain things, that shows that we still have some stuff there, correct?
Yes.
Okay. If they were to do that now, they would find out that Brother Lukman is far from being clear. I'm better than I was a couple of years ago, but I'm still not there yet, because there's certain things that if you say to me, it's going to happen. And then my justification is, Allah says in the Holy Quran that hurtful speech is acceptable for those that have been offended. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely, it makes sense.
Absolutely.
and I'm not clear yet. So you might just get cussed out. But the goal is, remember, and I believe the minister said this, the day will come when someone will spit in your face and you'll have to have the wherewithal to sit there and take that. Have you ever heard that said before?
Yes, sir. I
Okay.
Take a
have.
handkerchief
But
and wipe your face.
it better not be today or tomorrow. I can tell you that. Okay. I was about to go off on a tangent with a story, but it's not even necessary. But I think I'm in a room full of believers that, you know, we have the ancestors that are just dying to come out through our person in modern time, in present time, correct?
Yes,
No
sir.
doubt about that.
Okay.
No doubt about that. I'm not clear for sure.
But this is something that's done in the drill, and Brother Robin, correct me if I'm wrong, or if anyone has any data on this. This is what's done before you attest to the state of clear. Is that correct? Does anyone have any data on that?
I don't know if it's done for the, when you attest to clear, but when you do your objectives,
Okay.
you attest to that.
Okay. Okay. Furthermore, in DTD means Dianetic Technical Dictionary. He says, as a bullfighter attempts to attract the bull's attention and control the bull, so does the coach attempt to attract and control the student's attention. However, the coach flunks the student whenever he succeeds in distracting the student from the drill, and then repeats the action until it no longer has any effect on the student. Now, as I was looking at this definition, here's the thoughts that came to my mind. There's a couple of places in the Holy Quran where Iblis and Allah are having a conversation. And Iblis is saying, I will come from before them, from behind them, from the left or the right. And, you know, I'm going to come after all of them. And Allah says, what? You get all of those except my purified ones, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So then the question that came to my mind was, is it possible that the devil works for Allah and that the devil is a tool used to bull bait us in order to force us to grow?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Go ahead, Sister Angela.
Yeah, I think I'm vibing with you because I don't see, I was really trying to ascertain how can a coach that is giving instruction also bull bait, because wouldn't said student be following the instruction? Like, I would be confused if I'm being drilled. So this, and I just see it like you just said it. I see the bull baiter as Satan, and not the actual coach, because the coach would be either a prophet, a teacher, or somebody that is giving divine light.
Okay. I give you a perfect example. Think about some of the things that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said to the minister. And he said, no matter what I've done to him, I can't turn him away. I'm paraphrasing. You understand what I'm saying? When you think of some of the things that the messenger said to the minister in order to test him, correct?
Correct.
Does everyone follow?
Yes.
They weren't necessary. They weren't necessary negative things, but they were things to test. And one thing that Brother Robin, I think we were talking about that today, was when the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad accused the minister of taking that play from, I think, Mother Dianetics Muhammad.
Mother Dianetics.
And he couldn't get the minister to break character. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So no matter what the messenger said to him, when you hear the minister share the stories that he has shared with us, it was as if the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was testing him, testing his character. In other words, in my humble opinion, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan attested to the state of clear through his following of the Most High Elijah. Can we agree on that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And not saying this in a negative sense, on the same token, Brother Malcolm failed the bull baiting. He failed the
Yes.
drill. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Does anyone disagree with that? And again, I'm not saying this to speak against the brother Malcolm. What I'm saying is, if you look at the events through the lens of the tech, okay, how many times have we gone through individual drills in our life? How many times have we passed the grade? How many times have we flunked? And how do you know that you and I have flunked? Is because there's certain things in our life that we're stuck in certain cycles of events. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think
sense?
I'm kind of taken by this coach purposely trying to distract the student. So if the coach for me becomes a different type of entity. I understand the story about Mother Dianetic's play, and that also the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was letting him know what was being said about him also. Well, Malcolm X is different because the bull baiters was the media. It was the cameras. Did they distract? And this is the thing, are we being distracted from instruction, divine instruction? So I'm gonna get it. Just give me a minute.
So we're not talking about necessarily divine destruction. Let's look at this second part right here where it says that the coach's job basically is to distract the student from the drill and then repeats the action until it no longer has any effect on the student. So it depends on the intention of, if you take away the word bull baiting, okay, let's take away the word, but look at the activity. The activity, it seems as though it's designed based on the intention of who's delivering it. It can be either positive or negative. From a negative perspective, I can bull bait you because I'm trying to force you to come out of character because it'll benefit me. From a positive intention, the bull baiting is done actually to make us better. And here's another example.
I bought some stuff for him to take a light bag.
Here's another example. When we look at the minister's example of the sandpaper people and the wood people, he says the sandpaper goes against the grain of the wood. He says, but if the wood could tell you about what it's going through, it would speak about how painful the sandpaper is. But eventually, the sandpaper loses its grit and the wood becomes smooth. So the sandpaper people, as painful as it is, actually serves a benefit. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Gotcha. Thank you.
So some bull baiting is actually done for our benefit. Okay. I got Brother Allen, Sister Tina, and then Sister Charlotte. Go ahead, Brother Allen.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. All I was gonna say was, it's almost like you was tuning into my thinking when you gave the example of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. It's almost, I was thinking that exact same thing, and then you spoke on it. That's what I was gonna say.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. Thank you. Sister Tina.
Yes, sir. Your explanation of the bull baiting and the intention of it, it reminds me of what I've heard the minister say in the Time and What Must Be Done series, that the devil is working out our salvation. You remember that? Remember hearing him say that?
Yes, sir.
Anybody?
He's part of working out our salvation. I remember it that way.
So that's what it reminds me of, what you're saying.
Praise be to Allah. Go ahead, Sister Charlotte.
Yes, sir. Is bull baiting, I'm trying to compare it to, I recently read somewhere that sometimes Allah brings the same person in your life in different bodies. is this the same, does this compare to bull baiting, or am I somewhere in left field with this?
No. I think I see, let me see if I can explain it. I think I see what you're saying. Let's say, for example, and this is my opinion, but I think it works here. When we look at Adam being taught all the names, correct?
Mhm.
Okay, that's Surah 2, ayat number 31. I don't believe that Allah just gave Adam a list of names and he got some thicker beads and he memorized the names, and then Adam, because he knew the names, had the ability to master the angels and master the forces of nature. Okay. My personal opinion is this. Let's look at the attribute of patience, as-sabor. Okay. Now, by definition, as-sabor means, one definition means one who has the ability to endure and overcome trials without complaint and without doubt. Now, if impatience is something that we wrestle with, it would seem to me that if Allah wants to teach us patience, he puts us in situations that tries our patience because normally we are impatient. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
And now, the trial that comes to us that tries our patience can come through many different people. Does that kind of harmonize with what you're saying?
It does make sense. Thank you.
Okay. Because sometimes we try each other's patience.
Ooh, say that.
We can try each other's patience. We have friends and family that push our buttons. Some push the buttons because they know that the buttons are there. We get offended at individuals that press our buttons because we think some people are doing it intentionally, but some people don't even know that's a button. But Allah knows that's a button, correct?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
Allah said, I believe there's an ayat in the Holy Quran that says, Allah will use people as a trial and test for us.
That's right.
Okay. Brother Salam, do you know where that was located in the Holy Quran?
I can get it to you in a few minutes. I know what
Okay,
you're
yeah.
talking.
So really, when we look at it like that, if Allah is going to teach, if Allah taught Adam all the names, isn't he going to teach us all the names too, if we're going to become a part of that circle of gods? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So now what we have to ask ourselves is, if we look at the 99 attributes, which one are we deficient in? And whatever one we're deficient in, that might be the one where Allah tests us the most, because as it says, repeats the action until it no longer has any effect on the student. So now we keep bumping into people that test our patience until what? Until it doesn't affect us anymore. Now, what's a good test to show that we've gained a certain level of mastery with regards to a certain attribute? Under trial and test, if we can say these words, I am from Allah, and to him I shall return. Because now there's certain things that don't affect me anymore. So if I look at the attributes just for the sake of myself, there's just certain things that don't affect me like it used to. But there's still some things I know I got to work on because I haven't arrived there yet. Okay. And I think it was Sister Ava Muhammad, may Allah be pleased with it, that said, we all have our own individual set of attributes. Okay. User iPhone. See your hand up. Who is, oh, Brother Robert.
But I keep coming back. How
Yes,
about
sir.
that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I don't care how many times it cut off. I'm gonna keep coming back. Allah's grace. I think that was very helpful. What our sister said, and it's interesting. It's like as we are growing up into Allah, and He tests, and He, tests us. It's like I just look at my own personal situation. And it's like bull baiting people, places, and things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, have you ever just had a bad day? The children didn't wake up on time. My clothes didn't get out the dryer the way I wanted it. The car wouldn't crank. It seems like everybody's calling me at the same time. I'm not able to get. Things are not going exactly the way I want them, and things will cause us in the org. I remember they used the term called DevT, or develop traffic, meaning you're on your way to do something. And I'll say it in Muslim terms. What is the fruit? The fruit is the best. He's constantly training and conditioning himself to meet and overcome all obstacles. Well, the same way a person is trying to, when they push your button and find your button, that can become an obstacle, you know? But, you know, I look at that the same way, like when, quote unquote, things are not going my way. Allah is like testing my patience, testing my tolerance, testing my perseverance, you know. And I remember the minister saying that the 12 disciples represented 12 personality types that we have to learn to overcome, you know. So it's almost like when there's I remember a wise brother named Brother Sabir Muhammad, may Allah be pleased. He said, whenever a situation arises and it causes you to be affected, that is Allah, because only Allah can produce an effect in you.
Mm.
So look at it. And that's why folks say, you know, truth hurts. If someone says something about you and it hurts you, you need to look at that, because there's something in it for you to learn. The minister said his critics, sometimes when he listened to them, they turn out to be some of his best, you know, friends, because they're telling him flaws in his character or things that he may not want to hear, but it's necessary for him to hear, because once he deals with that and corrects that flaw or deals with that weakness, then he's made strong. Mm-hmm. So, you know, so it's like the bull baiting piece, you know, the same way. But it's all about, as I see it, and I'll be quiet, the Holy Quran said, who will be my helpers in the cause of Allah, not the effect of Allah.
Mm.
And Rahab said, whenever you find yourself being effect, you failed. Mm-hmm. Your job is to be cause. So it's like with the whole bull baiting piece, it's really a blessing. Mm-hmm. When you can be honest enough with yourself to say, that hurt. I don't like that. Because there's something in it that you have to deal with in order or flatten, so that you can walk through life and be cause, and whatever you determine, you can say to it be. No obstacle can get in your way, because that's what makes God God. Or Allah, his ability to meet and overcome all obstacles. Nothing rattles him. He meets it and he overcomes it. You know, so that's kind of how I see it. I pray that made sense. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It reminds me of what the minister said, that when you find a spot, you know, rejoice. Because now all you got to do is, when you find the spot, what do you do, family? What did he say?
Clean it up.
He said, apply the spot remover. Let's see.
Hey, Brother Lookman, go to Surah 21, verse 35.
Surah 21.
Verse 35.
Okay.
That's 20. Not exactly, but it's something close to it, but I'm looking for the, where Allah said he tries us through one another.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm looking for. 21.
35.
35. It says, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, every soul must taste of death, and we test you by evil and good by way of trial, and to us you are returned.
That's not exactly what you're looking
Yeah, that's not
for,
exactly,
but
but
it's similar.
there's one that is a little more exact.
Yeah, I'm looking for it now. I had it
Okay.
somewhere.
Okay. You got something else there, Brother Robin? Oh, no, you're good. Okay. All right.
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay, no, I thought, okay, no problem. So further, he says, the concept of bull baiting is taken from a Spanish and English sport of baiting, which means to set dogs upon a chained bull, but mainly to attack or torment, especially with persistent insult, criticism, or ridicule. Now, looking at that same concept, can we say that the reactive mind bull baits us on a daily basis?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. So when we talk about the whispering of the slinking devil who whispers into the hearts of men from among the jinn and the men, the way I always look at that ayat is talking about people that whisper on the outside. In Dianetics, they call those the antisocial personality or the suppressives, correct?
Mm.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
In the language of Islam, we call them the hypocrite or the 10%, or maybe even the 85%, correct?
That's right.
Okay. So now how can we understand this concept through the language of the supreme wisdom? Now here's where we're going to try to see if we can marry some concepts together. So where can we find bull baiting and the supreme wisdom? Now, when I use the word supreme wisdom, I'm not talking just about the supreme wisdom book. When I use the term supreme wisdom, I'm speaking about all of the books that have been produced. How to Eat to Live, Our Savior Has Arrived, Fall of America. Does that make sense? Message to the Black Man. That's the supreme wisdom. Okay. Let's look at this. Again, in coaching certain drills, the coach attempts to find certain actions, words, phrases, mannerisms, or subjects that cause the student doing the drill to become distracted from the drill by reacting to the coach. Now, here's what I want you to do. Write the word spam vertically, meaning going down, S-P-A-M. Okay. Here's a good way to remember the concepts of bull baiting. And spam is something that I know none of us eat that, correct?
Not no more. Not no
Not
more.
no more, but back in the day. So the S for spam means subject. Okay. The P in spam stands for phrases, and then in parentheses, put the word word. So phrases, parentheses, word. The A in spam stands for actions, and the M in spam stands for mannerisms. So when people or individuals bull bait us, you know, think of all the videos of Karen that we have seen over the course of the past couple of years. There's a certain subject that people will talk about that'll try to bring us out of character. There's certain things that someone will do. There's certain actions that they will do to try to bring us out of character. There's certain phrases or words that they might use, and there's certain mannerisms that really get under our skin. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, these are the bull baiting characteristics, but we're going to call them the spam. Okay. One thing about it working in the fire service, you use a lot of mnemonic devices to do what's called chunking. You're using a large amount of information, but you use these mnemonic devices so that you do them in a certain order. So I use a lot of mnemonic devices. It makes things easy for me. Go ahead, Brother Robin.
No, I just thought about what you said, brother. And you talk about bull baiting. I'm sorry, it's not the teaching. I can wait, but I just thought about something you said that's very, I think, that I noticed in all those videos. You mentioned Karen. I just noticed in all the police videos, the language the police use before they kill a brother is Stop resisting. Stop resisting. They say that all the time, even if a brother resisting or not, because they are hoping that you resist so they can kill you. Stop resisting. They say that all the time. And in all them damn videos, pardon me. Let me make sure I'm in present time. Okay.
Yeah, cause yeah, you went back in the time track there for a minute, brother. Come on back to the time. What's today's date, brother Robin?
Exactly, April 30th, brother, 2023.
Okay, I want to make sure.
Yeah, but I just thought about that. Alhamdulillah, yes, sir.
Yeah, but another reason why they say that is they'll say stop resisting and stop reaching for my weapon, is so that because it's being recorded, they can justify their actions because they gave a command that's on the recording, whether the brother or sister reached for the weapon or resisted or not. They're voicing it because the more you tell a lie, hopefully the jury will believe you. Does that make sense? Okay. Go ahead, Sister Tina.
Yes, sir. Brother Allen put in the chat the scripture that you were looking for, or maybe close to what you were looking for.
You said you put it in the chat?
No, brother Allen, I think it was. I saw it in the chat. You see it? Can you get to it?
Let me see. How come I can't pull up the chat? There we go. I don't see it.
Okay, it says Holy Quran 25, verse 20. We make some of you a trial for others.
Oh, there it is. Yes.
That's the one I was looking for.
That's
the one I was looking for.
That's what I'm talking about. Thank you, Brother Allen. That's the verse I was thinking about. That's it right
the right one.
Yes, that's exactly right. Okay. Thank you, Sister Tina.
Yes, sir. You're welcome.
So the thought is, we'll go back over this again. Could the concept coach be used to represent Allah? Okay. And then what would be the drills? Okay, so we're looking at bull baiting as used in the tech, but let's see if we can apply it to real life. Okay. Could the devil be a tool used by Allah to allow us to be tested? Okay.
Yes, sir.
You know, in the Bible it says, you know, he wanted to get to Job, but you got a hedge around. He says, well, I'll take the hedge around. He said, if you take the hedge from around, I'll make him curse you to your face. He said, Job would never curse me in my face. You can do whatever you want. You just can't take his life, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So did the devil bull bait Job?
Yes.
Could we look at it from that perspective?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We can look at it from that perspective. Look at how, when you look at the interviews that the minister has done, have not those that interviewed the minister tried to bull bait him to get him to come out of character?
That's right.
Think about Donahue. The Donahue, that's back in the 90s, but that's a perfect example. You had different people, but what did the minister do? The minister took their argument. It was like taking the gun out of the hand and turning it around and pointing it back at them. He took the argument and used it against them.
That's right.
You know, Minister Farrakhan, you're a racist. And in that nice little gentle smile, he says, well, the suffix ist means one that studies. If I play the violin, then I'm a violinist. You know, he said, so yeah, I do study race. So he took the term, he took the weapon and used it against them. Does that make sense?
Make a lot of sense.
Okay. All right. Bull baiting and the supreme wisdom. Now, watch this. It says the coach flunks the student whenever he succeeds in distracting the student from the drill, and then repeats the action until it no longer has any effect on the student. Now, let's look at our personal life right now. Could we be stuck in cycles of actions as a means to gain the strength to overcome the trials and move on to bigger trials? What is it that's bull baiting us in our own personal life right now? What trials, what drills do we keep flunking? I'll give myself one as an example. Making salat 5 times a day. I don't complete that drill. Okay. And I think I'm not the only one, but I don't mind saying that. I strive to make my 5 prayers a day. Okay. I strive to read my supreme wisdom every day in the way that Mother Dianetic Muhammad defined, where you complete a full reading in 1 week. I strive to study my self-improvement study guides. These are all drills. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is eating 1 meal a day a drill?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. How many of us during the course of the day, we flunk our drills?
Mhm.
It's awfully quiet.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
You're talking to all of us.
so we get stuck in these and see, and then from the language of Dianetics, those drills are considered to be cycles of action. Does that make sense? Start, change, stop.
Yes.
Okay. But then you have what's called a cycle of failure. And what a cycle of failure is that when you start a cycle of action, but something from the environment hinders the completion of that cycle. So we have these incomplete cycles of action. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And we used this before, and we use this again. If you look around the house, if there's certain rooms in the house that cause a chronic restimulation, y'all know what I'm talking about. It's because that room contains a multitude of cycles of action that are incomplete.
Give an example.
A pile of clothes that haven't been folded up yet.
Good. That's a good example. Dishes still in the sink?
Huh?
Dishes still in the sink?
Then still in the sink. Okay. Two bags of garbage by the door.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. These are incomplete cycles of action. And what happens are these cycles of action begin to build up, so that there's so many cycles of action that are incomplete. What do? The word in Dianetics is called analytical attenuation. We shut down and we go to Netflix and we binge watch. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
We separate ourselves from it, because all of those cycles of action, those are suppressors. Those are all counter efforts. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever walked into the house and you did this? I guess I'm the only one. Okay.
No, sir.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm not the only one. And then if we were to stop and look, each thing that's out of place is an incomplete cycle of action. And when we go and take one room and we get that room in order, what do? We go, ah. And then we say, what's next?
That's right.
And all it was pressure on our mind, because our nature says that we do everything right and exact, but our environment is saying the exact opposite, correct? Okay. And then we might have the tendency to blame other people. But L. Ron Hubbard says that when you blame other people, you make them cause. And as soon as you make someone else cause, you and I become what?
Effect.
We become effect. So as soon as we blame someone else, we give away our power to them and we become powerless. So we can't be powerless and be God at the same time. Okay. So these cycles of action that we have to go through that try our patience. Let's think of another, what's another attribute? The kind. Okay. Some of us, if you catch us in the wrong time of the day, we are very unkind. And so for some of us, that might be the attribute that we're tried in. Just go down the list of the 99 attributes. And as we go through those 99 attributes, use it almost like a list for straight wire, the same way you do the list in
Self-analysis.
you know, let's think of a time when I was inpatient and then choose a perceptic. Choose a perceptic that goes along with that attribute. Think of impatient and driving. If you live in the city, you should be able to come up with something very easy with that one. Because that's why I don't drive in the city. I hate driving in the city. When I'm talking about the city, I'm talking about New York specifically. Okay. Think about walking. Now, as we're going through the attributes, are any attributes popping up in our heads? Do we got any data? Do we got any data that's popping up?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we got to make sure that either Sister Belinda, Sister Jacqueline, or Sister Charlotte will process us at the end so that we don't get stuck back in the time track with the attribute that we're wrestling with. You got something else there, Brother Robin? Okay. Go ahead, Sister Zakia.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
I see bull baiting as a good thing in a sense because it's like pulling out the weaker part of us, like that brown germ. And we know we all have a wobble in our nature that we have to perfect or get out of or get rid of. So, and we can't make it to the hereafter with that brown germ. So when we have those impediments, I think that bull baiting or the people or whomever, their job is to pull it up out of us because it cannot exist. And I remember, I believe it was yesterday, we were talking about something like that with the minister, how I forgot the question, but you know, the minister always talked about after everything has failed, we have Islam. So once we try everything and all of the, you know, just we have to come up out of that weaker side of us. I think that's the point I'm trying to make in reference to the bull baiting. And I think that is a positive thing in a sense, if we look at it, if we trying to better ourselves, you know, I think that's a good, that's it.
Yeah. Walaikum salam, Sister Zakia. Thank you for that example because now I can provide a demo. I was thinking about this demo kit, but I was going to wait. Let's look at this demo kit real quick of how we can look at an aspect of our solar system and use that to describe what you just described. Now, let's take the Earth. Now, we've been taught that the Earth has a wobble, correct?
That's right.
Okay.
I'm ready when you're ready, bro.
Anything that has a wobble, if you try to roll it in a straight line, what will happen to it?
It'll go off the line.
It'll go off the line, okay? So now, the Earth has a wobble, but now you have the Earth is attracted towards the sun, correct? Okay, the Earth is attracted towards the sun, but then we look at the fact that the moon pulls on the Earth, correct? Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. That's in our lessons.
Okay, this is a little bit of astronomical theology here. So now the Earth has a wobble. Is it possible that if this moon did not exist, is it possible that the Earth would travel out of its orbit because of its wobble? It's a possibility, correct?
Possibility.
Okay, so now, if the moon pulls on the Earth, for every action, there's what? An equal and opposite reaction, correct? Yes. Come on, work with me, family.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead, you on it.
Okay. If the moon is pulling in one direction, what direction is the Earth pulling back towards? Could we say that the Earth is pulling back towards the sun? Oh, y'all got to give me some feedback here. Yeah, I got to know that y'all are still with me.
Absolutely, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
So could we say then, even though the moon, the weaker side of self, is pulling on the best part of the earth, is pulling on the water, the moon is trying to attract the earth towards itself and away from the sun. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So the reaction of the earth is to pull back towards the sun. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So does that mean that the moon, the job of the moon, even though it's trying to pull the best part from us, the moon's job is to keep us in our orbit around the sun? Could we say that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So then if we look at the devil from a positive perspective, the more the devil pulls on us, if we were to increase our prayer or our striving for righteousness, then wouldn't the devil serve a positive purpose?
Sir. Sir.
Because some of us, we slack off on our prayers until things get really crazy, and then that's when Allah gets a sincere prayer from us.
That's right.
Oh my goodness.
So, Sister Zakia, is that in line with what you were talking about?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because in order to, and this is just my thinking as to why we have to, why we was born without patience, and why we have to get to where we have to go spiritually and to the other side, because we are all gods and we can't get there imperfected, and we can't even think this world's life onto the new way of life. Our thinking also have to change. And so you want it, beloved, and I appreciate this chat. Assalamu alaikum.
Go ahead, Sister Patricia.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Did you say earlier that the attributes, if you said something about the attributes straight wiring you?
I'm saying that if you look at those lists, the lists that are used in self-analysis,
Mm-hmm.
and in self-analysis, it might pose a question like, think of a time when someone yelled. Okay, so then you find a time when someone yelled, and then there's that little dial that goes with it, and you have to identify a specific perceptic. Okay, then you find it. Then the next question is, go back a little further on the time track.
Mm-hmm.
Once you find that one, you do the same thing, and then you go back a little bit further, and then you see how far back you go with that specific concept on that list. All I'm saying is it possible we can do the same type of straight wire, but use the attributes of Allah? Think of it. Okay, so now watch this. Think of a time when you were impatient. This is for anyone in the Zoom meeting. Think of a time when you're impatient and think about something you hear. How many of us were able to pinpoint a time when we were impatient? Okay. Were you able to pick up the perceptic of something that you heard?
No.
Okay. But you can think of a time when you were impatient.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, can you go back a little further and find another time when you were impatient?
Quite a few.
Brother Islam said quite a few. Okay. So all I'm saying is we're taking the tool of the tech, but we're using it by applying our Islam and what we already have.
Mm-hmm.
So if we were to go through 99 lists,
Mm-hmm.
what type of person would we become on the other side of going over those attributes?
Yes, okay. Yes, I understand.
Now you could also say, let's find some pleasure moments. Think of a time when you were patient,
Yes.
right? Think of a time when you were patient and think about a flavor. Okay. Now, as crazy as it sounds, my mind shot right back to 1980, just in thinking of patience and flavor. Because my father, when he would come home from work, because he would work he got to work late. But when would come home, on his way home, he would stop at Dunkin' Donuts, and that was back when they had the big coffee rolls with the chocolate frosting on the top. That's my pleasure moment. I just shot down the time track just by thinking of patience and flavor. I thought about them big coffee rolls.
Yes, sir.
But now each one of us, didn't we have a pleasure moment?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now if we study the 99 names of Allah, it's called
Yes.
Al-Asma Al-Husna, or the 99 glorious names. Why can't we use that as a means of straight wiring, lock scanning, or finding pleasure moments?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for clarifying.
Praise be to Allah. Go ahead, Brother Robin. Maybe he's still, okay. Go ahead, Sister Charlotte, did you have your hand up?
No, sir.
Okay, Sister Denise.
Yes, sir. I was thinking as Brother Roland was interviewing the minister and was talking about how, Harry can sing, but, the minister, you could really sing. And how he handled that, how he gave praises and honor to our brother, and how he put Calypso on the map. And then he went there and say he just loved him some Harry Belafonte, like the young people say. And I just thought it's the things that happen to us that pull us out of us. Because when you're a God, you have to be able to handle anything, no matter what they throw at you. And this is and some people like to be pumped up, but the minister was thanking him for if we don't step up to the plate like we supposed to, how brother gets on it. And he thanked them for that, because not only it's helping you keep your word bond as well, of what we say. And I, in order to be the cause and not the effect, it's like you got to get into the mode of controlling whatever the event is or the situation. You always know what to say. Or I think the scripture said in that very hour, that very minute, he'll give you what to say. You wonder where did that come from? And so maybe, what you were going to say might have been something that turned him off, but and he just played it. And then the minister said, oh yeah, I'm reading your book about, what is that about? Black people rises is sad for white folks or something. The book that Roland wrote, and the minister said, I'm reading your book. And it's like when you are genuinely interested in other people, and they know you're not there for a fight. So it's like the conversation method that he's teaching us in Closing the Gap, where when he leaves, everybody's feeling good. Everybody is on another level because you took them there. So that's what I was thinking about as you all were talking about it. I just love how he handles people, and that's what I look for. Because some might say it's a battle going on, like the Jews say, you drink gin, and he said no. Say you drink orange juice, yeah, that's me. And he said, okay, that's you. But if a gnat comes and take away a moth, can you tell a gnat to come back? You're not that powerful.
That's right.
Yes, sir. I thank you for that. That's what I was thinking about as you all were talking. Yes, sir. Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, he will take the wind out your sails in a very humble and respectful manner. Okay. Now let's look at the word coach. Okay, because we're comparing Allah and marrying to the word coach. On Google Translate, I typed in the word coach, and can you see this right here, this Arabic on my pointer? Yes, no?
What do it say?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. In Arabic, that says elm. The letters are Ain, Lam, Mim, or ALM. And what that means in Arabic, it means coach, but it also means to teach, it means to train, and it means to educate. Now, it's also the root word for the attribute al-alim,
Knowledge.
the best knower. It also means knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
the best knower. So on one level, Allah is the coach when you look at it from the standpoint of the Arabic. Go ahead, Sister Angela.
Just wanted to bear witness in the Yusuf Ali translation of the Holy Quran. Some of the verses open up with ALM.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Just that's it.
Oh, thank you. Alif Lam Mim, is that what you're saying?
Yes, yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Brother Robin.
Can you hear me, brother? Pardon me, man.
Yes, sir. I hear you.
I've been working at the same time. I had my hands full.
Okay.
I couldn't answer, but I'll just say this. This is something hit my spirit as it relates to bull baiting. A while ago, someone said something about Satan, about the devil. Could the devil be bull baiting? It's like, when I look at it in this viewpoint, everywhere Allah, he deals with Allah with respect. In the Quran, it says, and when the matter is decided, the devil will say, hey, man, Allah promised you a promise of truth. I promised you, then failed you. I push your button. So don't blame me. I deny you associating with Allah. I had no authority over you. I just called you. I just pushed your button and you reacted.
You reacted.
So don't blame me. You know what I'm saying?
Blame
yourself.
Yeah.
And the same piece is with Job, the trials of Job. He had to ask God, hey, God, can I get at him? Man, take your hedge from around him. And then God allowed him, hey, man, you can do whatever you want to him, man. Push his button, man. Just don't kill him. And the way I'm looking at this thing in life, as we are gods and we're coming into the circle of gods, I'm starting to look at life more like a chemistry set.
Right.
And not be so emotional in thinking about devil, because, and I just say this because sometimes we got to break the spookism. I know I did. I still have to kind of shake myself because I'm thinking that devil or Satan is this independent being outside of Allah, when in fact, he works for Allah. He can't move without Allah's permission. And in fact, he's really just a circumstance of testing, of trial, and I look at it like the Holy Quran says that hell is made for purification.
Mm-hmm.
So if hell is made for purification, then even the hell that we go through is designed to put you back on the right course.
Mm-hmm.
So the bull bait, the pushing your buttons, the giving you grief, the difficulty is designed for you to get stronger so you can be, do, and have whatever it is you desire to be, do, and have.
Yes, sir.
So it's just, amazing when I look at it and take the emotion, how can I say, out of it. And it's like, yes, he's going to test us. He said, you know, attempt the uphill road. What is the uphill road to free a slave? It's painful.
Mm-hmm.
Ministers say don't run from difficulty, run to it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't run from the person who pushing your buttons. Learn to master that. Learn to deal with it. Learn to handle it. Meet and overcome it. So I pray that makes sense.
Yes, sir.
And I thank you all for letting me share that, because I'll say this last point. Mr. Hubbard said, take full responsibility. Osama bin Laden Muhammad said, accept your own. Be yourself. I'm the owner of the entire universe. I have to accept it all, the good and the bad. That's how I become myself. And once I understand nothing happens except by Allah's permission, the good and the bad, I'm all right with it. And I guess that's how Islam is the same as auditing. Once you come to the agreement that Allah is in control and no matter what happens, it's all right. All praise is due to Allah. I guess that's last point. My son told me this. He was doing the TRs, training routines. And in the training routines, when you learn the TRs, L. Ron Hubbard used this term. He said, although you're not free of your engrams, when you learn how to ignore the engram bank, you become a synthetic clear. That's the language he used. A synthetic clear. So if you can ignore your engram bank and just know that Allah is God and no matter what happens, then you won't be affected anything. But you got to get to that point. So I just wanted to share that. I pray it wasn't too long. Thank you all. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. So Brother Robin, would that be the same as where it says in the Holy Quran, for those, and I'm paraphrasing, those under trial, they say we are from Allah?
Come on, man. You better, brother, I'm telling you. Brother Luck, man, you something else, brother.
Luck, man. So here's another one. Would that be the same as the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad saying, a time will come, I'm paraphrasing, you will have the devil around your pinky and you won't even know it's there?
Yes, sir, brother. Yes, sir.
So we're all saying the same thing.
Allahu Akbar. Yes,
Praise be
sir.
to Allah. Go ahead, Sister Angela.
You know, I thank you, Brother Robin. That's his name, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Alhamdulillah.
You created balance in my mind with this whole bull baiting thing, because now it's clear to me now what it was. I understand, and I understood that the only difference between a sociopath and an Islamically clear person is spirituality. A sociopath has no emotion. They have absolutely no emotion. I don't know whoever dealt with a sociopath, but I have, very personally. And every emotion that they present is an act. It is not real. They are minus emotion.
Yes.
So this is what I was searching for, and I have to be clear and honest about this. When I first picked up the tool and I went to the Oregon 46th Street in Times Square, you know, we are scientists, right, Brother Luke? So I'm in the Oregon, I'm looking at the people and I'm studying them. You have such a gift in your tool, but there's something very off. And it clicked. Supreme wisdom. Master Fard Muhammad. The teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, though they did not present the immediate diseased minds of whom we meet in the street, they were at a point that they reached and they didn't go higher. Because our destiny is to become a God that is righteous, like the righteous Muslims Master Fard Muhammad spoke about.
What is your own self?
In supreme wisdom. So I thank you, because this is the thing. That's the difference for me, and I have to say this, between a bull beta and a teacher. a coach, like we call him Allah. Allah has given us the answers. The only thing that distracts us is the Satan
Teach.
within.
I get it.
The one that distracts us is Satan within. Sister Angela, no, you know you shouldn't ate these potato chips because you was off camera, Sister Angela. You know what I mean? Because they sitting there and they looking at me and I'm looking at them, and I know how to eat to live, and I know we don't supposed to get down with fried foods. But this bull beta
But them chips were bull baiting you.
Oh yeah. Well, if you don't need them, they might, they're gonna inspire. Like, I'm gonna let them.
Right, and you don't want to waste them. You don't want them to go to waste. Sister Angela, that's called a service facsimile.
Come on now. But I thank you. It's very clear, and I see the necessity of it, and I do see, even with you, Brother Lukman, Allah has put on you something very needed. And it's the marriage with a purpose.
That's right.
Because it proves that supreme wisdom is supreme wisdom.
That's right.
Wow.
Brother Lukman, can I share something?
Yeah, go ahead, Brother Salam.
The bull baiting also serves as an examiner, one who gives us tests.
Yes, sir.
And he takes the form of we in the Holy Quran, where Allah says, do men think that they will be left alone on saying we believe and will not be tried?
Teach, man. Teach that, Muhammad.
And indeed, we tried those before you. So Allah will certainly know those who are true and those who are liars. So the bull baiter, he's an examiner. He gives us examination to take. And whether we pass it or fail, that's his job, is to examine us. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Perfect. Go ahead, Sister Tina.
When Brother Robin was speaking, it made me, it brought back a thought I had earlier about bull baiting being a tool to help us perfect rising above emotion into the thinking of God.
Yes.
Because I was reading in self-analysis today about emotion and how a rational person feels the emotion in the moment when it applies. A sick person, like Sister Angela was talking about, they don't feel emotion. Psychopaths don't feel emotion. In self-analysis, it was saying how misemotion, when you give off emotion that's not fit for the circumstance, And so I was thinking about bull baiting and someone in your face, just going at you, and emotion being felt, but not letting that emotion control you, rising above it into the thinking of God. So that's what another thing that the bull baiting made me think of, and what I read in self-analysis today, because God in the study guide, in that particular study guide, the minister says that God has emotion, it just doesn't control him.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
The minister explained. The minister said that he explained the symbolism of the burning bush. He says Allah was angered, but his anger did not consume him.
Go ahead.
So we have to mirror that characteristic of Allah. We have to become like a burning bush. We're gonna have emotion. We're gonna have anger. That anger will serve a purpose at the proper time. Remember, it says, when our law says, kill no one who Allah has not ordered to be killed. It doesn't mean that we don't have the desire, perhaps. When you look at Jesus, when they came to get Jesus, one of the disciples cut off the ear of the centurion. Jesus didn't say, throw the sword away. He said, put it up.
That's right.
You put something up when you want to use it you might have to use it at another time.
Right. And he gave us order to murder the devil, murder the ingrams. As an intentional, as an order. Why must Muhammad or any Muslim murder the devil, murder the ingrams? We after, we seeking to kill him. Yes, sir.
But now you know what, Brother Robin? If you take the word murder, I don't have it off the top of my head right now, and you
Come
clear
on.
that in Arabic, and I also think if you clear it in English, the word murder means to take away the energy of.
Come on, man.
So if the devil is
Woo!
the engram and you're murdering the devil, what are you doing? You're reducing it, releasing it, and clearing it, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I got Sister Charlotte and then Sister Sultana. Go ahead, Sister Charlotte.
That's
Yes, sir. I understand the process of bull baiting. I guess my question is, when you're studying the tech and you're getting to the point where this bull baiting process is to occur, how is it explained, or does it just happen? Because for me, going along the process, if I did not understand what you are explaining to me now, I don't think I would ever get past that process of bull baiting.
I feel you on that, Sister Charlotte.
But now that I know that it's coming, I guess if I didn't know this, would someone explain what I should accept? Or like I said, are you just you're in a room and some white person is bull baiting you? That's not gonna work for me.
Because I ain't clear yet.
Brother Luke,
That's a good question.
Man.
Brother Luke,
Go ahead, Sister Angela.
can I point out something very quick? And I'm gonna connect it to Sister Charlotte.
Okay.
On a call we was on yesterday when it was the end, and one of the people were going over their takeaway, and something was said in contrary of the takeaway. That's a form of bull baiting, because the person that said the contrary response is a psychologist. And I had to explain to a few people what she did. So was you, Sister Charlotte, from what I can see and what I have done, maybe it's a different form of drill in the end, but I know I do this anyway. Once a person seems like they have released, I go back and see if it bothers them. It's just kind of naturally happens, even in straight wiring guiding conversations. I go back just to see, are you as convicted as you was just a few minutes ago, an hour ago, whatever the case may be? And that's a form of baiting too. I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. I understand what you just said, but going by what Brother Robin had described a few weeks ago, that was totally different.
Yeah.
That was different. And I guess I need to be prepared. If that is what I'm going to experience, then I might have to rethink some stuff. I don't really think I'm gonna pass.
Hey, if I may, can I share this, please?
Go ahead, brother.
I think, sister, and I know you will, but I know you're going to pass because your attention is on it. And here's the piece. It's the little things that's going to prepare you for the big things. Do you know what I found is a heck of a bull bait for me? My children. Son, didn't I tell you to clean your room? And he know it he know it upsets me. He knows that. And he'll kind of do it, with them in-ground attacks. He mad because I didn't buy him a video game or something, and he'd sit around. Boy, I did not tip. See, that's the same thing with our children. It's the exact same thing. But you know these folks at work, or these folks, look, they won't wash the dishes. I told y'all to wash them dishes. And you still don't. And a lot of times we don't realize. They be like, look at Dad in there. He mad. I told you I was going to make him mad. I told you I wasn't going to wash the dishes. It's the same. You know what I'm saying? Look, that be like they get that. So I would just say to you, sister, and to all of us, it's the little thing. All of those things matter. I mean, from where's my keys? I can't find my keys. I always lose these damn keys. See, it's stuff like that. Like the little things. and just focus on the little. That's what I do. I focus on the little things. And I remember the minister saying this as far as it relates to the mosque. And I done dealt with some sociopaths in the mosque, like straight up. I'm talking about straight up. Don't, in life as well. But I mean, they just threw me for a loop because we didn't have the technology to describe it. But it's like the minister said, the mosque is a dojo. It's an agitator. That's the whole point. Master all them personalities so you walk through there and not be affected. And I remember brother Tony, when he was telling us about how he went through the 8-hour bull baiting process, white folk called him a nigga all in his face. And, and he said at one point in LA, he said he was so re-stimulated with the mosque and the believer, he come and he said he had a grudge against the whole MGT class. You know what I'm saying? He wouldn't talk to nobody in the MGT. But he said that after I guess he went through that process and got his auditing, he realized just how much he was pushed around. But you're affected when you do that, when you're in an environment and every little thing bothers you. And we just got to get to that point, where we walk through there like Jesus. Hey, man, the boat can rock. It can rain, it can storm. Be cool, Peter. Y'all be cool, man. Everything, peace, be still. Everything gonna be all right. So I guess that's kind of, that's the focus. But I would just say, just start with the little stuff, If you don't find your keys, take a deep breath. Remember, I would not be moved. And proceed to handle it, Meet and overcome all obstacles. That's how I see it, So don't worry. Just prepare, because the blessing is we already know what's coming. In the process and end of life, the messenger said one day they're going to spit in our face. White folk, we're going to have to walk and keep walking. So, just start with the little things. That's what I would say.
Tomorrow.
Nah, hey, you tell it, it's tomorrow, brother. It's
gonna
not
be tomorrow. I already know what's happening.
It's going to be dead folks everywhere. No, let me stop.
So I got Sister Sultana. I saw you raise your hand earlier and then put your hand back down. So Sister Sultana, if you could go next.
Sure. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Alhamdulillah. So sorry, I was at a rehearsal, so I couldn't really talk, but now I'm finished. So
okay.
All these things were coming to mind because I was actually able to listen to this last. So in the Sufi path, this kind of work is done with the sheikh, with see you have a particular habit. No, you don't know. Sometimes you don't know why the sheikh is doing certain things or telling you to do certain things, but it's because he sees that in Graham and he's trying to help you clear it and get rid of it. So it would be like one of my friends, he said he was always the first one to want to sit and eat when the food came out. So when we would see him do that, the sheikh would say, oh, the food's coming. Okay, the sheikh would say, so-and-so, get up and go to the store and go get such and such and go do this, right when it's time to eat. And of course it's his sheikh. He go, oh, okay. He would jump up and go do it. And of course, by the time he came back, it would be no food left. So this kept happening and he would be all mad. Like, I ain't no food. Nobody saving no food. Oh. Well, it kept happening to the point where one day he just really figured it out. He's like, you know what? It's all right. I don't need to eat when everybody else eat. I'm gonna wait and let everybody else eat first. And then I'll eat. When the sheikh saw that, that's when he said, okay, now you have broken that naf for food and wanted to be the first to eat. Now that that's broken, he stopped sending him off to errands every time food came out. So it's like little things like that. For me, mines are, walking into my house and the big things, that's out of place. That's out of place. You got me here all day. Why don't I clean up? Why do I do that? I've been doing that for the last couple of years, feeling like that. And I said, you know what? I don't need to feel like this anymore. I don't want to feel like this anymore. But what do I have to do to not feel like this? I can't keep telling them to do anything because obviously that doesn't work because they're just going to do what they're going to do. So now I have to change my attitude and my behavior towards what I'm seeing and say, you know what? I'm not going to react the same way. I'm going to come in and act like I don't see it. I'm just going to come in and act like I don't see what I see. And as I settle into the space, I would just begin to put things back and put things where I want them to be. And that caused a whole shift in the energy in the house. And then everybody was not looking at me sideways, waiting for me to react. They were looking at me, smiling, and wanting to actually have a conversation with me, because before they were waiting for me to drop the bomb. So that was just my experience. And that's how I've learned through the Sufi path on how to go into the self, go into the nafs, see what's caused me to have reactions over and over again, and how I have to take responsibility for actually transforming that or transcending it and moving it out and changing the energy of it. That's my responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that. Definitely. Sister Denise.
Yes, sir. Oh wow. When you get to that point where you say, how much more can I take? And the word take plenty comes up. And it's like, well, isn't that's enough? No, it's plenty. What, doesn't it come to the top? Isn't it full? No, it's plenty. It's like after that. And the study guide, number 1, mixed feelings and controversy. And how do you handle that when it's aimed right at you, or if somebody say something about the minister, you ready to jump them, or and I thought about when I hear a voice say, let it play out. You know how you looking at something, you want to cut it off right there, but it's like, no, let it play out. Let's see how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Or how it would go if you don't say nothing. Let's see. And those are, I was thinking about that as you all was talking about, because we're not going to be left alone. The Quran said that. The men think he gonna be, no, nobody's going. You better not say nothing to me, and soon that's when something is said to you. We're not gonna be left alone. Like, ain't nobody, they better not bother me. And it may be a child push open the door and say, what you doing in here? What you gonna do? You gonna cuss the baby out? The baby wants to know what you doing in there. So, I mean, how you can't prepare for this, even when you're doing it in Scientology, right? You just, I mean, do they have to keep pushing, keep trying you, don't leave you alone, or they looking at how you react because they know that they gotta go hard or go home. Like, I gotta go a little harder because that didn't affect them at all. Do you understand what I'm asking you, Brother
Yes,
Lukman?
ma'am.
Is there a button that says stop?
There's a button that says we have to rise above emotion into the mind and thinking of God. Because you can't prepare. I'll give you an example. Just in the job that I do, we can learn the basics of our job, but nothing prepares you when you pull up to the front of that building and that building is on fire. I don't care how many books you've read and how much training you've learned, every fire is different. And when you're faced with that situation, nothing prepares you for that. But you have to overcome your emotion and deal with the problem that's at hand. And you have to understand your fundamentals. You have to understand the basics. And as long as you do your basics, then you, at the end, you go back to the station and you eat dinner and you get a chance to relax. Allah is, here's my opinion, Allah, and this is something that the minister has said. And if you've heard this before, just bear witness, and that'll be like the receipt. I believe the minister said like this: Allah's not going to try us on what we have already proven that we can overcome. Has anyone ever heard that before?
True.
Okay. Because what kind of a teacher tests you on what you've already shown that you've overcome or mastered? We have to be tried on where we might, there's a possibility we might fall short.
Right.
Okay. We might think we're weak in certain things. There's another case in point. Today's Sunday, so Saturday, Tuesday, we had a fire in the town outside of Newburgh, and it caused some re-stimulation because it was the same scenario a couple of years ago where I got injured. And as we're going to this call, what brought me back to present time was Allah's not going to put me in a situation that I don't have the understanding or the wherewithal to get through it.
Go ahead.
And as a result, when we went into the building with all the smoke and everything, I was actually amazed that I handled it the way I did, because in the past, that would have caused some re-stimulation. But I said to myself, Allah's not going to send me to this in order for me to fail.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
But we're not going to be prepared for the trials that are in front of us, because if we were prepared for them and if we knew what they were, then they wouldn't be trials.
That's right.
That's you don't. It doesn't make any sense to go into a tournament or go into anything and you know the outcome. That doesn't test. That tests memorization. That doesn't test skill.
Right.
That doesn't test whether we're God or not. That means we had that's called insider trading.
Right. Trading.
Yeah, that's called insider trading. Did that kind of answer that, Sister Denise?
Yes, sir. And while you were saying that, I don't know why I was thinking about James Brown when he said, "Take it to the bridge." We going to the bridge, and the bridge don't sound nothing like. The bridge don't sound nothing like what it was. You know, it's like, now we're gonna take it to the bridge. All right, you in a whole new position when you go to the bridge. As you was talking, I was thinking about James Brown. He said, "Y'all ready? Y'all want to go to the bridge? Let's go to the bridge." It's like, what? That don't sound nothing like what you just played. Yes, sir. I got it.
Praise be to God.
Okay. I want to woosah. Now I'm gonna stay. Okay. What up,
Brother Allen?
Thank you.
You're very welcome, sister.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
I had something else in mind, but when you started talking about you being a firefighter and not being prepared, no type of training can prepare you for the situation you're getting ready to go into. I teach the martial arts, and it's very similar in that you train, you give the people information, you get information, and you're pulling from that information, but you don't actually know how you're going to use that information until you get into that situation. That's exactly how that works. When you said that, I thought about it.
Brother Allen, what's your style?
It's Kempo, Wing Chun, Tai Chi, and boxing. It's called Kem Wing Tai Bok.
Okay. Have you ever had to spar your sensei?
Yes, sir.
No matter what you know, nothing prepares you for that, does it?
No, sir.
Exactly.
You just have to use that information, and
the best way you can.
Yes, sir. You're pulling from all of that information, and you have to bring it, as you say, in real time.
There's the I'm quite sure you've read the Book of Five Rings by Musashi Morimoto.
I did not.
Okay, it's a good book to read as a martial artist.
Yes, sir.
One of the things you have to get into is a state of what's called mushin, and mushin is a Japanese word for like muscle memory. You have to know your basics so well that when you get put into that situation, your body, your mind, your skill is so fast that before you know it, the person's already on the ground, all broken up.
Yes, sir. What's the name of the book?
It's called the Book of the Five Rings. It ranks up there with The Art of War by Sun Tzu.
Okay, yeah, yes,
But the
sir.
Book of Five Rings is an awesome book that you can use to apply it to martial arts.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Brother Wadu.
Oh, I wasn't finished with my comment.
Oh, go ahead, brother. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, going back to bull baiting and the supreme wisdom, it says the coach flunks the student whenever he succeeds in distracting the student from the drill. Hold on. I looked up distraction, then I looked up, distraction is a thing that prevents someone from giving full attention to something else. But when you go into the synonyms, it means to bewilder, to confound, to dumbfound, to perplex, to puzzle. And when you go into the supreme wisdom, Lost Found Muslim lesson number 1, question and answer number 3, it says, why did we let half original man Columbus discover the poor part of the planet Earth? Answer, because the earth belongs to the God, because the original man is the God and owner of the earth and knows every square inch of it, and has chosen for himself the best part. He did not care about the poor part. I think it's that when the coach is trying to distract you, you acknowledge the fact that he's trying to do that, but you're not getting taken off from whatever task or drill that he has you doing. You acknowledge it, but you don't allow it to take you off. You're not completely distracted where you're perplexed or puzzled based on what the coach is giving to you or the distraction that he's trying to distract you from the drill. That was my original comment that I had.
That's a good way to relate that to the lesson. That was perfect, bro. Thank you. Brother Wadu.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. My question, or not question, but my comment also is in regard to bull baiting. And from the perspective of what I'm doing presently in terms of my professional activity, it makes me think that caution has to be exhibited regarding who we or I allow into the position of the coach. That person could use the spam, as you use that acronym, the subject, phrases, actions, or mannerisms. That person could use that spam to beat the other person into docility. As our former slave masters used to call us such degrading things to entrap us into subjectivity. I think about the images of our people that I saw on the old photographs sitting at a bench counter getting milk poured on them or attacked for trying to integrate white establishments. And then I think about the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad telling us to be self-respecting. And if they don't want us in their place, we go and build our own. So if it came from the org, then I would, from my own perspective, I'd have to know that I was going into that type of dynamic ahead of time. Otherwise, I feel like, it's just a way for them to vent and get off some things that they may want to say, while at the same time, I don't want to become that docile individual that will just accept any type of treatment on myself. I think I remember hearing that the disciples had an issue with Jesus because they didn't think he was strong enough in some ways when it came to dealing with the enemy. So that whole dynamic of being too docile, where is the equilibrium between not allowing the bull baiting to make one into docile and subject or too submissive.
Well, I'll give you my perspective on that one. Is to be able to cuss somebody out without getting emotional about it. Now, when I'm saying cuss someone out, I don't mean necessarily cussing them out, but to be forceful in our words without allowing our emotions to take over. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
I'm not just gonna sit and take. I'm not doing that. That's not how I function. I'm gonna speak, as the minister would say, speak truth to power.
Mm-hmm.
Way. But to sit and let you say that and I say nothing, oh, it ain't that kind of party. It's not gonna happen that way. So that's how I would do it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Does that kind of add a stable datum to that one?
It does. It does. Because last thing, it makes me think about when I hear about people in abusive relationship dynamic where, you know, one or the other is beating the other. You ain't this, you ain't that, you don't do this right. You know, it just seems like the dynamic of not just if they're in that position of being quote unquote the coach, that they don't misuse that position to try to exert undue influence or to subjugate the other person, to abuse that abuse of power. I guess that would be how I would sum it up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Is that it, Brother Wadu?
Yes, sir, it is. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Go ahead, Sister Ania.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Wasn't there mention earlier of having patience?
Yes.
Well, I felt like Brother Robin, you know, when he's just bursting at the seams to make his comment, and he can't wait, you know. And we've had to wait patiently in line to make our comments. I just thought that was funny. But as the conversation has ensued, what I've come to realize, or what I guess was a cognition for me, is that bull baiting is a specific technique and a method, a specific method to achieve a certain end. And so that there's a difference between bullying and bull baiting. And there's a difference between browbeating, as Brother Wadu just introduced that term. There's a difference between browbeating and bull baiting, because the bully is just being he's just being the bully, maybe trying to make himself look big in the eyes of others, when maybe in his own mind he's got some insecurities going on, but he doesn't want to, he's trying to disguise his insecurities. And the same with the person who's browbeating. Brother Wadud gave the example of a domestic situation where somebody is being what's the word, you know, like verbally or physically abused. So I saw that with bull baiting, it's specifically designed to get you to react until you learn to rise above the emotion.
Go ahead.
To rise above that reactionary response. So it's done on purpose to help you see the weakness of yourself. And once you realize, you know, that you maybe you didn't realize that weakness was there, and then once you realize it, now you're humble enough to see that, oh, this is a lesson I have to learn. and I'm willing to learn the lesson. So I'm willing to take the bull baiting from the coach, because I know that the final outcome is I'm going to be a better person. I'm going to be stronger. I'm going to master this, what the coach is trying to get me to master. And it made me think of a quote which I was looking for. I couldn't find it. But years ago, this was back in the early 80s when I first heard it, the minister used to often refer to putting a board in the corner of a building. And he said, before you put that board in the corner of the building, because it's going to have to, I'm not sure the exact term, but it has to be able to withstand a lot of pressure. So he said that you test that board by putting pressure on it. And if the board breaks, you throw it away and you get you another one. And he used to use that quote in reference to when he was speaking about what Malcolm had to go through, what Muhammad Ali and the messenger's son, Wallace, had to go through, because they were being tested for a higher position, but they had to qualify for that position. And when they didn't qualify, they were moved. That was not the person that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was looking for to be able to use. And that cleared the way, all of that cleared the way for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who is now being groomed into that position. And Minister has given us so many examples of not only what he has had to go through, but what others before him went through. And he's shown us where they either passed the test or didn't pass the test. He's given us examples of when, the same with himself, when he's passed the test and when he has not passed the test. And so we're going through that same furnace, constantly being dipped into the furnace of affliction to strengthen us. And that's the bull baiting, to strengthen us, to see if we are the material that Allah can and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad can use. So that's what I'm getting out of this whole thing. And then there was another quote that the minister gave us, and I couldn't find that one either. And when I do find it, even if it's not now, but whenever I will share it, because he specifically talked about times when we are accused by our teachers of something that we know that we didn't do, we're not guilty of. And he talked about how we handle those situations, that you never go up against your teacher and say, oh, you got it wrong. I that's not me. I didn't do it, and why are you accusing me of this? He talked about how he just humbled himself and took the blame, even though he knew he wasn't guilty. And so he was again teaching us the lesson of how to not react, but see what is the lesson in it for us, to have to take the blame for something that we know that we didn't do. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Sister Ani.
And that is the way.
That is definitely the way.
That is the way. And that's exactly what I've experienced as well. Even with the spiritual teachers that I've been around, they say, if you come to the meeting and we have what they call the Daira, the Dara, which is a place of study and learning with your spiritual teacher. And if you come there and the teacher starts, just berating you for no reason, like you think it's for no reason, but it's a reason. But he starts berating you in front of everybody and say, oh yeah, this disciple here did this, and that, and you know you didn't do those things, but you understand, you come to understand later that actually the teacher was not talking about
You're breaking up.
You're
You're
breaking
breaking
up,
up,
Sister
sir.
Sultana.
actually directing it to someone else. It was a test. So yeah, the teacher would say, you know, oh, it's you, and you would like say, okay, yes, you're right. Or you can just say, yes, you're right, Sheikh, you're right, teacher, you're right. I that was me. And you know it wasn't you, but you're doing it because, like you said, the humility, and also for him testing you to see if anything would trigger you of what he's saying. If it's gonna trigger you, even though you know it's totally not true what he's saying, because he's actually talking about someone else in the room.
Mm-hmm.
It's yeah. So I've experienced things like that being amongst, you know, a teacher that's trying to clear someone of a, you know, a habit or a way, and you are being actually the person that's getting it, but it's not for you. But but the test is for you as well, because the teacher is going to see if you're able to, you know, not get emotional and react and say, that's not me, for Sheikh, I didn't do that. I would never. No, nope. You're just going to say, Sheikh, you know best. Yes, Sheikh, you're right. And that's it. And that student has conquered that particular thing. They didn't get triggered and react from those things that I was saying, even though they know it wasn't true and it wasn't about them.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. That sounds like exactly what we're talking about. Go ahead, Brother Robin, and then we're going to go ahead and land this plane. Can't
Hey,
hear you.
everybody.
There you go. Okay.
Everybody was touching on. Everybody was touching on it, and when the brother, I kind of felt my brother when he was talking about someone berating another brother, saying, you know, you better let me know about that before I walk into that situation. I understand, brother, but just to be clear, they let you know, and I'll say it like this. In life, we were taught as followers of the teaching, and I'm just putting this out here, that we are to master self. When one masters self, you have a spirit, a mind, and a body. Spirit gives command to the mind gives command to the body. The mind is like the computer of the body. Well, you're the God, the body is a Muslim because it's made of muscles and limbs. You're the God. The body is your Muslim, and you make your Muslim to submit, to do whatever it is you determine to do. Well, it's like the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Islam. It's like the basics. It's like we all kind of look for, man, we want the deep stuff to elevate. But what I've come to find out, and what I listen to these great motivational speakers and great thinkers, you know, I always wonder why the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad only had, you know, finished the 4th grade and he was chosen to be the Christ. Well, how does a person like that think? And not necessarily judging, but just like his books on a 4th grade level, like you can read it, anybody can understand it, you won't miss it. That doesn't mean it's bad or he's inferior. It's just he's designed for you to get it. That's how he was made and designed. Well, the deep stuff is the basics. We can have all the great wisdom and all these, you know, great quotes. But the bottom line is this, man, can you stop yourself from eating when you want to eat? It's simple stuff, you know. Can you make those 5 prayers like Brother Lukman said? You do that. I mean, all the high degrees and gold seals and all that's fine. But, you know, can you just eat 1 meal a day and say your prayers and treat people right just on the basis level? So I think in terms of the bull baiting, and I love the way I think Sister Anya said that was like the bully, his purpose is to crush you. The bull bait teacher's purpose, you know, is to construct you, to build you up, you know. And but when you think of self-control and patience, seek assistance through patience and prayer. It's like having control or mastery of the self is the goal, but yet and still, how do you get there? Through the basics. Just studying the basics. I think of Dianetics as just a practical application. Or I think of Islam as taught by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, even if we didn't have Dianetics. If we ate 1 meal a day and we read our Quran and sold our papers like we supposed to and went out to the dead and just did the basics, I think we will be all right. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? I think compared to 99.9% of the planet, you'd be in a serious control seat, you know? However, you know, it's challenging because we haven't mastered ourselves. I'll just say this, in that bull baiting piece, to help us to master and control ourselves in our creation as the God of the creation. It's like the God can't allow his creation to cause him to react. I mean, then he wouldn't be the God. So I guess with us, we are the same. You know, all this was created to serve us. I think when the minister says, the sun, moon, and stars were created to serve man, to serve you. The sun gets up every day to serve us. I'm just like, dang, well, how powerful am I for real? That thing that I marvel at that gives life to everything is not superior to me. I created that. My father, my great, my creator created that to serve me. The stars were there to give me light. The planets are there to give me something to do. You know what I mean? To see, and, you know, the different animals and the plants, all this stuff is here to entertain me. I can't be scared of my creation. I got to master it. So my point in saying that is this. There's a powerful audiobook series by a man named Kevin Trudeau. And it's called Your Wish is Your Command. You can listen to it on YouTube. It's like 10 hours worth of stuff. But he's in the Swiss Alps and he's a billionaire. He's currently in prison because he was giving away, you know, different secrets, and he's into how to manifest. He's a Caucasian, but I swear Kevin Trudeau wrote a book called Free Money They Don't Want You to Know About. They got that book for free. I looked in and me and my family my sister had money, got money, I got money, my wife got money that they had that we didn't know anything about. So he gained credibility with me from that because we actually gained. And to this day, and we look on there periodically. And it benefited us, to make a long story short. He said this, and I'll be quiet. He's in the martial arts as well as Brother Wadu, I believe that's his brother's name. He said that. But he said he had this monk on his yacht from China, from Asia. And he said the monk, his best friend brought the monk to the yacht. And he said, the monk was like, hey man, you know, the monk didn't speak English, but his buddy spoke, I guess, Chinese and English. And he said this, he said the monk wants to teach you how to throw a punch. And he said, man, what you mean teach me how to throw a punch? Man, I've been doing martial arts for 20 years. I know how to throw a punch. You know what I'm saying? Just please, man, I want to know the deep stuff. And he say, the monk was like, all right, show me your punch. And the guy threw a punch. He said it was a perfect strike. It was excellent form. He said the monk laughed and spoke to his buddy. He said, man, the monk said he wanted to teach you how to throw a punch. He like, man, didn't you see the punch I just threw? You see how my form and how fast I was? He said, okay, the monk said he wanted to show you how to throw a punch. So he said the man lit a candle. He was 4 feet away from the monk, Say the monk threw a punch and blew the candle out with his punch. And he said, oh, now I get it. The monk said this, and I'm going to be quiet. He said, the monk said, I'm not afraid of the 10,000 punches that you know. I'm afraid of the one punch that you practiced 10,000 times. So the moral of the piece is master the basics, master yourself. All of this tech and all of this bull baiting and pushing the buttons, all of that's for you to master yourself so that anything you want to be, do, and have, you can be, do, and have. And it's just from the basics of mastering self-control. And once we control self, master self, then anything you desire to be, do, and have, anything you want to learn, you can, because you have complete control. Every move you make is positive, and you are not affected at all. So I pray that makes sense. And thank you all for letting me share that. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Let me see what we have left, and let's go ahead and wrap it up. Let's see what's the next. I'll do maybe one or two more screens, and then we'll wrap it up. Sister Jacqueline, are you going to wait around to help us with the processing? You're on mute, Sister Jacqueline.
Brother Lukman, I'm striving to wait around, sir.
Okay, let's go ahead and wrap this up then.
How much more time you need, sir?
5 minutes.
Yes, sir. I can wait 5 minutes, sir.
All right, thank you, Sister Jacqueline.
You're welcome, sir.
So we made the connection with Allah and the coach. And then when you look at the word drills, by definition, a drill is a series of methods arranged on an increasingly deep scale of bringing the pre-clear to confront the no-confront sources of his aberrations and leading them to a simple, powerful, effective being. Basically, a drill is a process to get us from the inability to confront to be able to confront everything. Does that make sense? Yes, no? I'll give another definition.
Yes, sir.
It means to fix something in the mind or habit pattern by repetitive instruction. If you look at some of the, I don't want to say bad habits that we have, but when you look at some of the habits that we have, these are really drills just from the negative standpoint. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. It's a physical or mental exercise aimed at perfecting facility and skill, especially by regular practice. Eating 2 and 3 times a day is a drill that some of us have perfected it. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Eating a whole container of Haagen-Dazs ice cream is a drill that some of us have perfected. Taylor started laughing. Eating a whole supreme bean pie at one sitting.
Watch out now.
That's a habit. That's a pattern, correct?
Yes, sir.
You just have to, now we just came through Ramadan and we had a certain pattern. How many of us have fallen back already? Ramadan is not even, we've
10 days
kind
old.
of fallen back into some of the old stuff, right? Okay. I know I guess I'm by myself. I'm the only one. Then there's this verse from the Holy Quran where it says, Allah has revealed the best announcement, a book consistent, repeating its injunctions, where it do shudder the skins of those who fear their Lord, then their skins and their hearts soften to Allah's remembrance. This is Allah's guidance. He guides with it whom he pleases, and he in whom Allah leaves in error, there is no guide for him. When I saw this ayat, when it says repeating its injunctions, where it do shudder the skins of those who fear the Lord, then their skins and their hearts soften. To me, that was like, there's certain drills that take place where things are difficult, but the more the drill is repeated, it becomes easier. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And this is why Allah allows certain trials to constantly repeat themselves. Because in repeating it, eventually it takes off the strength of it, and then we become master over what really had mastery over us, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'll just do this summary and then we'll do the next part at the next class. So we looked at Allah as Al-Alim, the best knower. We repeat actions in our life not to be punished, but to be purified. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. As an auditor keeps repeating an event in order to reduce, release, and eventually clear us of the pain of that event, Allah may allow us to repeat events in our life in order to
Teach, man.
release and
Teach.
clear us of the pain of yesterday. Does that make sense?
Teach.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So in order to get over the pain, we must go through it.
Go ahead.
That makes sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Here is where we would actually get into the Holy Quran, but being that it is 8:22, I will go ahead and wrap it up at this point, and God willing, we'll pick up on part 2 on Wednesday morning. How many of us plan on going to the Closing the Gap Zoom meeting after we end this one? Is anyone here going to go to the other Zoom meeting that's being held right now?
I'm not aware of it.
Okay, the Zoom link is in the chat. Okay, does everyone see the Zoom link in the chat? Okay. Sister Jacqueline, if you will go ahead and give us the end of session. Wait, before that, does anyone have any final remarks, comments, questions, cognitions, or corrections? And then we're gonna do the end of session processing, close out in prayer, and then go, those of us that go support our family that are doing the Closing the Gap Zoom meeting right now as we're speaking. Does anyone have anything to go ahead, Sister Patricia?
Yes, sir. What is the lowest age a person can get audited? Because I was thinking, what we have encountered, we did it in the late age of us, 30s, 20s. And a lot has piled up from the time of birth all the way up to 40, 50 years of age.
Mm-hmm.
So if one can stop that at an early age and clear, this is a question, and can a person at an early age get cleared? And what is the earliest of the age that that person can start getting audited? I heard about it, but I forgot.
The age that comes to my mind is 8. If anyone has any,
that's correct.
That's 8 years old, correct?
Dianetics, 8 years old, correct.
Okay, there you go.
Can they be cleared at 8?
Yes. I don't see why not.
So once that happened and they're getting older, they continue on to get audited.
Because once you go clear, you can go clear, but you may encounter some other things in life. So you have to deal with the new stuff that comes out. That's my understanding. Okay, so you could encounter some other things in life that you still continue your processing.
Correct.
Well, I thought that once we get into hereafter, we wouldn't have to have this auditing, correct?
Well, hereafter, that's a different story. Hereafter, that's a whole different ball game.
Okay.
That's different because because that's an environment where there's not going to be any restimulation, because it says everywhere you look is going to be peace, peace, peace. Okay, we're not going to deal with being restimulated with the nonsense that we're dealing with in this society.
That's right.
Okay, so
yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If there's nothing else,
yeah. I just have one thing to say, brother, if I may, real quick, like 5 seconds. Practice, practice, practice. Find somebody in the house, straight wild. Get on self-analysis or handbook for pre-clears. Start processing today. Just start. So I just want to share that.
Thank you. So Sister Jacqueline, if you would do us the honors to do the end of session processing to make sure we are all in present time, since we have been going back and forth on our own time track during this session. We will close out in prayer, and then those that are interested, let's show our other family support for the other Zoom meeting that is taking place, Closing the Gap podcast. Sister Jacqueline.
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Our family, let me share for context. Before starting the end of this session, please put aside or put down any items or materials you have been using during this session. Thank you. Rapidly sketch over the session just ended. Begin. Thank you. Sketch over what you have been doing again, particularly attention to how you have been sitting. Begin. Thank you. Go over the period of the session with regard only to what you have been doing with your hands and things in the exterior world you have heard during this session. Begin. Thank you. Fix your attention upon a pleasant object near you now. Begin. Thank you. And family, let's continue to pray for each member participating in the session, our families and the believers. Continue to believe and do good. We thank you all for your participation, and I turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Sister Jacqueline.
You're welcome, sir.
Let us go ahead and close out in prayer. Attention prayer. I seek refuge in Allah from the accursed Satan. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. All praise is due to Allah, Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful. Master of the day of judgment in which we now live, the alone we serve, the aid we seek. Please, Allah, guide us on the straight path, the path upon whom thou hast bestowed favors, not the path upon whom thy wrath is brought down, nor of those who go astray if they have heard thy teaching. Ameen.
Ameen. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, family.
Allahu Akbar.
Allahu
Assalamu alaikum, family.
Alaikum salam.
Alaikum salam.